So Hornby's Greater Anglia Class 755 is here, and are we flirting with Hornby's best model ever? Let's find out. Hello and welcome once again to New Junction. Now, this week in Under Closer Inspection, we are joined by the brand new Hornby FLIRT. Now, this is all new tooling. It was initially announced in January 2022, so it's been a rather long process for us, but most multiple units do take their time because there's so much involved, and this hopefully won't disappoint because there are some very nice modern touches to this unit. So let's take a closer look now and we'll see if Hornby have got it right and raise the bar with their new FLIRT. So this is the brand new Hornby FLIRT. Now, as you can see, we've got the 3-car version and it has the DMS coach in the centre. Now, the FLIRT itself boasts a full suite of features. So we've got fully functioning lighting, front and rear, also interior lighting, which is very nicely done. It's very bright inside. The model boasts things like a magnetic roof hatch to allow easy removal and switching of the DC to DCC chips. You can also add things like your power packs under here as well, your stay alives. We have working delainer couplings at the front, so you can attach multiple of them. And of course you can get not only the 3-car version, but there's also a 4-car version. Now, the price for the 4-car is £449.99, and the price for this 3-car model is £399.99. So while a considered price, it's actually not too extreme on the face of it for what is a brand new multiple unit from Hornby. One thing you also get is a very nice presentation box. Now, it's always nice, particularly with such an event as a brand new tooling model, to get a nice box with it as well, because it makes you feel like they've really gone to town with every aspect, which in this case, I believe they have. So the model boasts quite a high level of detail, particularly here on the roof space, because the FLIRTs are quite intricate on the top. Now, things that stand out is each coach is different, and particularly we have a nice pantograph, which isn't motorised, but it is posable, and when the pantograph is raised, the pan head sits flat, which is always a nice touch, particularly if you're racing under electrical wires. Moving on from that, the inter-car corridors are particularly intricate because not only do the coaches share a bogie on each end, but they also share a corridor connector, which doesn't allow for a gap with traditional models straight down the middle. So Hornby have had to put in particular attention to detail, not only to make it look right, but it's also got to be functional to be able to go around a second radius curve. And I think they've done that, and it's rather clever how it all sits together, and hopefully we'll see more of this on models to come. So having a bit of a closer look now at the electrics, Hornby have really upgraded these, and as you can see, we've got magnetic roof hatches now which reveal the chip. Now, I have pre-fitted mine with a DCC chip. Now, I have used the TXS triple sound, as Hornby would recommend, the HM7000 21-pin Bluetooth chip. Now, the reason for this is because using their software, you can, if you wanted to, download the sound file onto these chips because they have pre-fitted speakers internally on each end. Now they have small sugar cube speakers, which is very nice. However, for whatever reason, Hornby have made the decision that you not only need one chip this end, but you also need a DCC chip this end as well. Now, that's nothing unusual really. Hornby have always done that with their power cars. It's fairly traditional in the industry so far. But with the FLIRTs, you actually need a third chip to go in here if you want to take maximum benefit of the sound, because in this car is the space for a third DCC chip and one of Hornby's new EM1 style speakers, as they're dubbing it, to really get the most out of the sound. So to be able to benefit fully from the sound, you need 3 DCC decoders, but ultimately you only need the 2 to make it work. It's worth noting as well, if you decide to have one single chip, the motor of a single end, because there's a motor in each end, isn't strong enough to pull the rest of the train if the other side is dragging, so you do need the 2 chips at least for DCC. Of course, this isn't a problem on DC, and with DC you also get stair lives pre-fitted as standard. So as is quite often the case with modern locos, because we're paying so much more attention to the inside and adding as much detail as possible, because manufacturing standards have gone up, it's more and more difficult to hide the interior components which belong to the model aspect as opposed to the prototype. Whereas Hornby actually have taken the decision to put a motor in each end, and there it is. Now that is attached, I believe, to a flywheel which goes to the front bogie, and you can just see it's the same colour as the seats, so it really, without me pointing out, sort of blends itself in, and it's very difficult to see from a normal sort of viewing distance, and there's one each side. Now, we could argue why wasn't it hidden behind here, but you wouldn't get the flywheel in place in this area, I would expect. You could also ask why it wasn't here, because this is something that Bachmann would have traditionally done with its 225s and sort of older turbo stars. The motor would have gone in a centre coach, and this is the dream because you can't see in it. Again though, it might be too small for a flywheel, and the bogies might not allow for the gearing. So Hornby have decided to put it either end, and I think the decision works, because as I say, you can't see it. One thing that's worth noting is the 2 sockets at either end. Traditionally, if you did that, you'd have to change one of the chips, one of the CVs on the chips, to change its direction. So one knew basically it was the back. So if you pressed forward, it wouldn't go reverse, and vice versa, or particularly the front and back, front and rear lights would work in the correct order. Hornby's sockets already take account for that, and basically you just put the chips in as normal. They're both on the same number out of the box, and the lighting works a treat. So what you take from that is, because Hornby have added that bit of design in, there's less faff for you and me, which is great. So for those of you who follow my channel normally, you'll know that this layout is a work in progress, and every so often I come across a dead piece of track. So just here is said dead piece of track. There is no power here. Ordinarily, wouldn't be such an issue, but what happens with the FLIRT, because you've got the 2 motors set up, the first car will come onto it, run out of power and stop. The rear car, which is still in the powered section, keeps going, but for whatever reason isn't strong enough to push the remainder, as we'll see now. First car runs out of power, second car just not strong enough to push, but the first car just got across the line onto the powered section. Now we have the opposite problem, well, now the rear car has no power, and of course the front is just spinning. So we push that back onto the powered section, and away we go again. This is why it's probably best to invest in the Hornby power banks to stick in there as well. I think they're something like £16 each, and you'll need, of course, 2 of them, or 3 if you're going for the full 3 chips. But these are well worth it. A lot of modern locos do come with stair lives currently, but not this one. Start the train just to show you. I've taken the DC chip out, and underneath, the joys of the Hornby HM stuff is you've got a nice port there to put the power bank into. No soldering required. Just make sure it's the right way. I'll make sure I get it on camera so I can show you. Plug it in. The satisfying click. And then we simply replace. Obviously, ordinarily, I'd recommend doing this with the power off. Now that was fun, getting the stair life to stay under the roof. Now you can just see there's a tiny bit of wire showing. It's not quite sat well, so a bit more fettling. To be honest, a bit of black tack or something probably took it out of the way. And but just in this instance, it's almost defeated me. But power pack's installed. Let's give it another whirl. There we are. As you can see, that's eliminated that issue. The 2 power banks are definitely a must. Ignore the hesitation on the track because that's for pretty much a dead piece of track. Whereas in reality, stair lives are really only meant for point work or the odd bit of dirt, not an entirely dead piece of track. So yeah, that's solved the issue, and I would definitely recommend adding the power banks to your locomotives too. And there we are, the Hornby 755 FLIRT. Is this Hornby's best model to date? Well, I certainly think Hornby have definitely raised the bar with their manufacturing with this one. There have been certain manufacturing compromises or decisions which have no doubt affected the price point or been because of the price point, but I think you can't really go wrong if you fancy a FLIRT. Well, let's face it, you won't get another one. In fact, I think one of the few major downsides is the areas the FLIRTs have currently run in, because it does restrict who can have one on which layout, unless you're using Rule 1, of course. Right, do let me know down below in the comments if you've got one, if you've had any experiences. Let me know what you think to the Hornby FLIRT. Would you like to see more of this level of innovation from Mr. Redboxes in the future? Because I know I certainly would. Definitely more towards the East Coast main line. Although a little birdie has told me that these do visit Peterborough. So who knows what you might see in the future on the Junction. And I'd just like to say a big thank you to Rails of Sheffield for providing me this model as a sample to feature here on the layout and to make this video with. So a big thank you to them. And of course, if you haven't got one but would like one, there is a Rails of Sheffield affiliate link down below in the description. I certainly think it's a worthwhile purchase if it's in your area of interest. And I'd love to see more of it from Hornby. So, big thank you as ever for watching. Take care, and I'll see you very soon with the next layout update. Bye for now.